Well, the TSX Venture 50 is an annual ranking of the top performing companies on the TSX Venture Exchange. To discuss the 2026 list, we're joined by Rob Peterman, Chief Commercial Officer of the Toronto Stock Exchange and the TSX Venture Exchange. Rob, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Roger.
And I believe it's 50, but I think there's 51 this year, are there not?
Yes, we can actually count, but we had a tie for the 50th spot, so there are 51 companies this year. Looking back, how did the year unfold for them? Look, it was an amazing year. You know, when you look at this list, you'll see it was very much powered by the mining sector. The 51 companies produced an average investor return of 431%, which is an amazing number, but you know, we think the ultimate story is there's a structural gap in a number of commodities, and that gap, the new mines, are going to be discovered by the junior mining companies, and that is what's really exciting for Canada, really exciting for the TSX Venture Exchange to be leading that charge.
Just going back, any concerns that I think it's like 90, I did a quick math, 95% of these companies are mining companies. Any concern that other sectors are being left behind?
Well, look, you know, when we look at the venture exchange these days, it's very much driven by the innovation sector and the mining sector. This was a great year for the mining sector. I think most of us believe we're entering a new commodity supercycle. So it's not surprising that the mining companies were there. We've seen retail investors coming back to the mining sector, generalist investors coming back, and of course, you've got, you know, all these geopolitical things going on and sovereign wealth funds as well. So it's not really surprising that the mining sector dominated this year, but we know markets are cyclical, and you know, I expect the innovation sector will show more prominently in years to come.
And with the sovereign, did you see an increase this year? Is there more interest from overseas?
Yeah, I think, you know, we're seeing the investors come from all around the world. Again, generalist investors coming back to the sector. Interest from retail investors were coming into the PDAC investor conference here in Canada. But yeah, global interest and the investments from sovereign wealth funds, international governments in the mining sector, a lot of those are into the junior companies on the TSX Venture Exchange. So it's definitely driving a lot of market attention.
All right, now let's talk about some of the 50, and then we'll talk about the rest as well. What are some of the highlights from some of the 51 that are on the list this year?
Yeah, so the two commodities you'll see the most of on the Venture 50 this year, very much gold and silver are the commodities that really dominated the 50 list. You'll see that what we would call tier one mining jurisdictions, Canada, USA, Mexico, were where a lot of those properties are. But if you look at the top three companies on the list, you'll see Santa Cruz Silver at number one. So obviously silver is the commodity that they're working on. Then you have a rare earth company, and the third company is a potash company. So geographical diversity and commodity diversity.
And are a lot of them North American based? Are people staying away from risk? I mean, there's lots of risk in here, but I mean, are they staying away from geopolitical risk?
Well, the 51 companies on this list, the 48 of them are mining companies. They do very much come from what we'd call the tier one mining jurisdictions. So pretty much equally spaced between Canada, US, and Mexico. And there are some other jurisdictions on the list, but there's definitely a consolidation around the tier one mining jurisdictions. And that's a theme that we see all the time in the mining sector, is that where there's certainty and comfort with the jurisdiction, it generally makes investors more comfortable with the process of exploring and moving towards a mine.
Now, I mean, these are the top 50. There's about 1,800, I believe, companies in the Venture Exchange. How did it do overall for the year?
The Venture Exchange ended the year at an all-time record for corporate market capitalization. So that's a number that we look at, very positive to see that. The venture composite has had a lot of upward mobility this year, but of course, the best companies from the Venture Exchange graduate to the Toronto Stock Exchange. So it's not always perfect to look at the venture composite, but the venture composite had very strong returns. And again, we ended the year at record market capitalization for corporates on the TSXV.
Now, as you mentioned, mining dominated this year. Is there a rotation going on, like we were talking about with AI and tech stocks? We're seeing some rotation there. Is there a rotation with where people are looking for the next big thing?
Well, from our perspective, a lot of the focus is around, moving into this new commodity supercycle, the really important role that Canada is going to play in that, because we do know that most of the discoveries, the shortfalls that we see in a lot of commodities, those shortfalls will be filled by the junior mining companies and their discoveries. So this ecosystem we have in Canada, the leading global ecosystem for junior mining companies, it's a really important moment for Canada, and with all of the global attention, we think there's going to be continued momentum around the mining sector in the coming year.
Okay, Rob, we have to leave it there, but thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Rob Peterman is Chief Commercial Officer of the Toronto Stock Exchange and the TSX Venture Exchange.